Before proceeding through this movie, read this question carefully, then pause it and see if you can come up with your own diagram prior to checking the solution. In any word problem, particularly one on bearings, if we can use a diagram to help us, it's important we do so. The first part of the journey starts by heading in a northerly direction and then moving 26 degrees towards the east. The next part of the journey, we can start by replacing our compass directions on our new starting point, and we head south and 64 degrees towards the east. We can put this information together to create a triangle to help us solve the problem. Our blue dashed line is the distance from our start to our final finishing point. The compass directions we've left in green are going to help us find some more angles within the triangle. One of the angles shown in blue is the 26 degrees, and we know that's true because the compass lines north-south represent parallel lines, and 26 degrees is alternate to the 26 degrees shown in purple. So the 26 plus 64 combine to make 90 degrees, and we've got a 90 degree angle in our triangle. That'll help us solve the distance from our starting point to the finishing point because we can use Pythagoras. So using Pythagoras, d is the hypotenuse, so d squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. 5 squared is 25 and 6 squared is 36. Putting those together we get that d squared will equal 61. So now all we need to do is solve for d by taking the square root of both sides, and we get the distance from the start to the finish is 7.81 kilometres. The next step of this solution is to find the bearing back to our starting position. We are going to need to find some angles. Now we have an angle marked A and we can use trigonometry to help us solve for that angle, but we also need some other angles to help us find a bearing. We again can use parallel lines because we know that we're using compass bearings here, north and south, and the 64 degrees that we had initially is going to be also equal to a 64 degree angle using alternate angles in the parallel lines. Now let's find angle A, and we can use the tangent, in other words the opposite over adjacent in this triangle, to help us find angle A. Angle A is equal to inverse tan opposite over adjacent, or 5 over 6, and if we use our calculator we can solve for that and we get an angle of 39.81 degrees. This angle of 39.81 degrees together with the 64 degrees gives us a combined angle of 103.81 degrees as shown with the pink arc. So that means that our bearing is heading more to the south than to the north, as we'd expect from our diagram. Now to find the missing angle, in other words how far away we are from south, we need to subtract 103.81 from 180. And when we do that we get an answer of 76.19 degrees. So our final bearing is to head south and then 76.19 degrees towards the west. Now be mindful when you do these diagrams that quite often the sketch diagram is not always going to be completely accurate, so it's very important that your calculations are accurate and you use those to assist you get your final solution.